everyone. Good morning and another beautiful, beautiful day, a little chilly where we are, and a day that we hope starts your week out right. This is going to be a lot of fun this morning as we talk about our emotional superpowers, my words.
Yes.
And help people have a voice.
And what a great way to start your week. 15 minutes of some really clear ideas and observations about what you can do to make a difference in your personal life, with your thoughts, and then also with the ones that you work with and the ones that you love, to help them gain some emotional health education and some little tidbits. That's what we have for you today, and we're excited about that.
That's right. And in fact, we want to make sure that you're starting, as we have, with our emotional superpowered oils, our super smells.
Our super smells.
We love that title that we've been able to come up with for essential oils. We know that they're very powerful, that they do help change the chemistry in a remarkably fast and positive way, and that they can aromatically anchor these new ideas and truths and the belief system in each of us. So as you look at this great little bookmark that connects us to which oils to use with which superpowers, you can see in that middle yellow color, I have a voice, my words, and that the super smell is Focus Blend, the children's Focus Blend, which is the thinker. And so if you haven't applied that yet this morning, or if you care to, or if you just help yourself remember that that's the oil that you or your children or your loved ones will want to utilize when we're working on this particular superpower.
And I want to add something to that. You know, we have it linked with the Thinker oil that is in the kids kit from doTERRA, and we love the children's kit. We were so excited when they made the announcement that these specific oils would be for children, and they would be like less strong, so that they would be more aware of their sensitive skin. And I just thought it was really tailored to what the children would need. Even adults are using those oils. They're very helpful. But I wanted to just mention that the ability to think about your thoughts is called metacognition. And to open up that awareness and putting this oil on and helping you be able to access greater capacity for metacognition is a beautiful way to start your day, a beautiful way to even start your week, as you can use that oil to specifically do that.
I love that, Pam. And in fact, when I think about when I started thinking about my thoughts, I was an adult.
I know.
I mean, I'm sure there were times as a child, but no one really talked to me about thinking about my thoughts until it became very clear to me that I was living in a lot of negativity. And I think it was Louise Hay who woke me up to that realization that I was processing negativity on a constant basis, and that was causing all kinds of problems for me. And so as we put this beautiful little superpower together, I have a voice, my words. We wanted to share just some of the core power in this. And let's look at the next. So here's the journal. And I love these questions that I think, Pam, you came up with these amazing questions.
Oh,
I don't know that we can separate out what
we did it together.
Who did
it
what?
was a united front here.
But there's some great questions here, and let's look at that next one too. And then this quote, we wanted to focus on this quote. The child must know that he or she is a miracle, that since the beginning of the world, there hasn't been, and until the end of the world, there will not be another child like her or him. And that's Pablo Casals. Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
This really struck me this weekend as I was working with my grandkids and having some pretty powerful thoughts and emotions about what's happening in our world right now. And to empower a child with that belief system can truly change their life. As you change that inner world, of course, you change the world. So that's what we really want to focus on. for a minute today is how you can implement that for your inner child and for those that you love, and for your business builders in your organizations.
That's awesome. Let's go to the next slide. And I want to talk a little bit about the power of praise. You know, we know that the negativity is there. We're aware of it. Sometimes we're not aware of it. It's just running and processing. And but making that flip from pointing out the negative, judgment, criticism, trying to correct somebody. Sometimes we look at our children and wonder why they put those clothes on, or have they done their hair? For sure, they've brushed their teeth, haven't they? And we feel like it's our job to do that checklist with them to make sure that they're on task, they've done their homework, they're doing the things they need to do. But can I tell you that as parents, it's so important to be able to relate to your children outside of the task list, outside of those responsibilities, and actually praise them for when they've gotten something right. Sometimes we go in and they have made their bed, but we notice that there's clothes on the floor, or that they made a mess with the toothpaste on the sink, and we don't really acknowledge the things that they are doing that is working, where they are taking responsibility. I promise, when we can see and reflect back to our children the good that they're already doing, they will want to do more of it. And if we continue to be that kind of mother, which I have been and still am sometimes, the only part of me that can see what's not done, and we tend to nitpick, it lowers our children's self-esteem. And so being able to praise what's working, focus on what's working, that can flip our thinking from the negative to the positive. Your words make a difference. Can I just say that I was working with this little boy yesterday, and I tell you, I was in a little group with children, and we were doing some singing and having a fun lesson time. And this little boy, I knew right off the bat, had been labeled as a child who was a troublemaker. And I completely just ignored his movement and his body, and he was kind of stretching and moving around, and I think he was waiting for me to tell him not to, and I just refused to. And then when he sat down and was really quiet, I said, "Oh my goodness, look how quiet you're being. Thank you for listening. How respectful is that?" I ignored the negative and continued to praise him for the good that I could find in those situations, even though there was some pretty obnoxious behavior. At the end of the class, he said, we're supposed to show respect. I said, "Yes, we are." And he said, "Do you think I've been good today?" And I said, "Yes, you have been. You've been so good." And I watched myself that I didn't buy into an old habit of how he's been parented and how he's getting treated at school. And he was so proud. He stood up tall and he held his head up. And I said, "You really are good." And that was really the message I was sending to him, because in his mind, based on his inability to meet the expectations of his parents and the authority figures, he perceives himself as bad. And we don't want to label it too much as good and bad and right and wrong, but just acknowledging that he was good enough, that he made a contribution to our little discussions, and that he was just fine the way he was. A little bit more of that, and that boy would just be standing 6 inches taller because of how he was feeling about himself.
It's a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you so much, Pam. So that power of praise is pretty remarkable, and it can shift for all of us as we recognize our thoughts and become aware of our thoughts. And the little story in the book is Max's story. And he loves words. He loves everything about words. In fact, he studies words and he looks up words, and he always has words in his head, and he practices using his words. And then one day he said something out of control. And when this happened, he blurted out angry, out of control words. And his mother reminded him, "Tantrums aren't going to get you what you want, Max, unless it's trouble you want." And another time, the word "stupid head" came out of his mouth, and a friend heard him and thought it was directed to him. He was probably actually saying it to himself. We do that a lot.
We do.
But as he realized that he had hurt this friend, he knew that he needed to be more careful with his words. And so he focused instead on his friend's strengths.
Oh.
And so he very quickly moved out of that, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that, to, oh, I need to tell you about the positive. This reminded me of my experience last night with my 37-year-old son, who has a mountain man beard like this. He's about 3 times my size, and he's a very, very bright, very brilliant, really, man who's trying to be this daddy of this little tiny boy. And I have been very concerned about how aggressive he is. That's just always been kind of his thing. And I wasn't sure how to connect to him anymore. And last night when he came over, I said, hey, let me rub your feet for you. And he said, no, Mom, my feet are so gross. You do not want to rub my feet. And I said, how about your hands? And he said, okay, I'll let you rub my hands. We had a peaceful, beautiful conversation for the first time in a long time. And when I finished with one hand, he said, Mom, I'm not through talking. Could you come over here and rub my other hand?
Aww.
I know that every one of us needs those positive, praising words that focus on our strengths. And that's what I love about this particular.
I love that. You know, sometimes for many of us, where words of affirmation become our love language, we might feel like we're starving if we don't get very many of those words like I love you, or thank you, or helping the people around us to feel like they're good enough and reflecting back their strengths. So I know that part of using our words in a powerful way is really important. I also know that if perchance we've used our words as a weapon, if we've used our words in a way that's been hurtful or damaging to those around us, that we have an opportunity to come back around and clean that up by saying, I am sorry, and I shouldn't have said those words, and you really didn't deserve to have me say it like that, with that tone. Do you know that words can be just as hurtful, for example, like a slap across the face, as somebody that's hitting you, because those words can be so cutting. And especially for someone where words are their love language, it can be just as devastating. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that we're using our words with power, we're using our words for good, we're using our words to create rather than destroy, and that when we do make a mistake, that we forgive ourselves and that we quickly clean up the messes that sometimes negative words can create.
Beautiful. So as we wrap this up today, we thought that we wanted to focus just for a minute on this particular part of the journaling. It's such a powerful thing to remember, and some people have put it around their house and written it on their mirrors. So Pam, read through that.
So before you speak, think. And sometimes slowing down the internal processes can help us to ask a couple of questions about an approach or how we're going to talk to somebody. Sometimes there's delicate conversations that need to be had out there. We want to make sure that we're not quick to react or quick to over communicate or over respond. So the things that you can ask yourself is, is it true? Is what I'm saying true about that person, or true? Is it the complete truth about the situation? Is there maybe some aspect of the situation that maybe I'm not seeing? And so we want to make sure that we are asking the question, is what I'm going to speak, is it true? H is for, is it helpful? I is it important?
Or am I just talking?
Right. N, is it necessary? And I must say about this one, that as I've done some internal healing inside of me, I've actually stepped out of the need to communicate things that aren't really that necessary, to kind of, like, it just kind of has made it so that I don't have to over communicate, that really it's not really necessary to say, things are already working the way they are. I think we can let go of stuff, of trying to control circumstances, when we really trust that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. And then K.
And K maybe should be first. Is it kind? And sometimes the truth doesn't seem kind, but in the reality, it may be that assertive love that needs to be said.
Sure. And is it kind to ourselves? Internally, making sure that we're not being so judgmental or critical to ourselves, and giving ourselves opportunity to be forgiven, forgivable. Oh, if we can practice with ourselves, it will start to show up in those around us, because how we treat ourselves is how we treat others. And actually, it must start within us first before we can really start to display that.
That's beautiful.
In the world around us.
I love that.
Okay.
So again, here is that quote that we want to kind of wrap this up with. The child must know that he or she is a miracle, that since the beginning of the world, there hasn't been, and until the end of the world, there will not be another child like her or him. This will open up their creativity and help them learn to move into their prefrontal cortex and use their whole brain.
I love that. I want to ask you this just quickly in closing, and this is something for you to think about throughout the day. If you have time, write it down. If you don't, that's okay. But think about 5 power words of truth about you. I'm just going to mention mine really quickly. If I were to put that in an I am statement, I would say I'm responsible. I'm a responsible, beautiful, loving, powerful, confident woman. Those words I say over and over, and they help me hold on to who I am.
It's beautiful. And we hope that you will think of 5 power words for those you love and focus on those, and maybe write them down or put them on your mirror, especially if you're working to bless someone's life who may be struggling.
Yes, go ahead. Oh, and then our products and our tools. Remember that we have all these wonderful tools as reminders to have them be in your home. Put your buttons on, put your bracelets on, put your stickers up. We were just talking about a man who put a poster up in his wall at his workplace, and he runs a huge database for a company, and he's using some of these principles for his team members. So use the posters, the stickers, the oils, the super smells, and refer to your books often so that you can do some of the simple exercises and help brighten your day and help empower you with emotional superpowers.
And these products are all about what Pam just described, and that's sharing with other people, showing them to other people. In fact, because you told me that, yesterday I met a girl who is working in his office.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I handed her a Superpowers book, and I said,
goodness.
You too can.
Amazing.
She was so thrilled when she saw
Wow.
it, and she said, this is exactly what we need. She said, I'm in a new workplace, and I need to know
I love that.
that this is going to be shared with so many other people and make a difference in our world.
You guys, I have one more thing to tell you. You've got to watch for the email that's coming that will help you to know that you can sign up for the Emotional Superpowered Fun Kits. I promise this is a great Christmas gift, and it's something that you can give to your kids or your grandkids. That's the gift that lasts all year long. And you sign up for a subscription, and each month in January, starting in January, you will get a little kit that talks about emotional health. And there's a free introductory kit that you can give the children right at Christmas time. So please make sure that you're sharing this, pass it on, and make a difference in somebody else's life by helping them to wake up and use their ability to think about their thinking, and especially about their words.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you next week, if not sooner.
Yes, you can start buying the kits on November 21st.
We're excited.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day.